Welcome. Let me check and make sure this is even working. Let me pull up a chair. I am live streaming in the shop, and I'm using my phone with Streamlabs on it, and I think it's working. Oh, there we go. Just got a notification. There it is. And I'm using my phone with Streamlabs on it, and I think it's turn down that volume. All right. Well, I'm here. Yeah, okay. That seems to be working. I will be... It looks like it's frozen on the screen, but it's working. All right, so I will be working on the hammock here, and I will have my phone over here in my hand watching the live chat, and I'll be replying to people verbally through the live chat, not so much on the screen or through text, I don't think. So let's see. This is my, I'm using my standard YouTube, my personal YouTube here. I'm just going to say it's me on my personal channel watching the stream. All right, so that is my comment there to show that I am, that's who I am. So I started this build over on Instagram a little while ago and had to cut the bug net, which I do in the other room, and my phone, this is my old phone I'm using as a camera, and even with it on the charger, let me make sure it's plugged in. It appears to be. Even with it on the charger, it was losing battery just by streaming. So that's, what is up with that? Can I change that? I don't like that at all. Well, it's gonna have to do. I apologize for the auto-correcting of the light. It's really messing with my eyes when I look at the screen. So, I don't know what to do about that. Usually I record earlier in the day and I got sunlight coming through that window. So I do apologize for the weirdness with the light. But once I get done putting the net, lining up the net, I'll be at the sewing machine, and that should be a little bit better. So I cut the net, I've got it ready to go. I'm just going to need to line it up on the zipper tape. So far I've got the hammock body made, I've got the end caps on, obviously it's hanging, ridge lines on, zipper is attached, I've got the suspension made in the pouch here. So now all I have to do is attach the bug net and then do all the finish up stuff, tie, zip off the, sew off the zipper ends so it doesn't separate, and then add the tie outs will be the last part. That is really, man, I wish there was a way. Yeah, I've seen it on there too. Is there a way to fix the, where's the options here? That's speaker, that's camera, that's chat. Nope, not that. All right, we're just gonna have to deal with it. I just loaded this program on the phone. I did not have any time to mess with it. So I try not to rely on pins at all when I'm doing these builds. I use these little spring clips. So who else is on? I see that I just started to see there's at least one other person on. If you are near your keyboard, unless you're watching on TV, let me know who's on. Let me know where you're from. While I was over on the Instagram live feed, it was pretty cool. The customer who ordered this hammock actually came on and got to watch a little bit of the build of his hammock. Which I'll admit, I thought was pretty cool. I don't think I've ever ordered something from a company and then being able to go online and watch them actually make it. I'm sure it's happened somewhere with someone, but I've never had that experience. Let's see who's on. Robert Carnes. Hey, man. Jersey Shore. Yeah. Awesome. How you liking it? I was just out your way a couple weeks ago. I was over at the Allegheny Front Trail. Awesome out there. I remember I was talking to you when we went to the Green Monster, right? And it was pouring that weekend down by you in Jersey Shore, and we got nothing but sun up by us. Like right across Route 6 was nice weather, and you got dumped on. We could see that from the trail, too. Oh, the old loggers path, very nice. I've done the old loggers path, and bear with me. I've got my other phone over here. I'm watching the live chat from, so I might be a little delayed on seeing the comments. But yeah, I've done the old loggers path twice. Well, 2.5 times. We did a scouting mission the first time, and just kind of did like a little bit of it in some of the other forest trails near there. And then the next year, Dragon and I went out and did counterclockwise one time and clockwise the other. Went to once in the spring, once in the fall. Really cool trail. And regardless of the weather, I don't know if you've ever done the trail before, but regardless of how cool you think it might be, there's that one section where the rattlesnakes usually are. And we saw them in September. It was like in the 40s, and it was raining and cold. And the rattlesnakes were still out. All right, so I'm going to move that there. Now I've used those clips to mark off where all of my key points should be on the bug net to match them up with zipper tape. I mark my long tail here, and then I'm gonna separate the zipper and get it sewn together. So there is my zipper tape. Let me turn you guys. There we go. All right. So this process I'm doing for the bug net now is slightly different. I've been doing it for about, oh, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe a little under a year. I used to do it a completely different way, and then I was working on a prototype for a bridge hammock, which is still not convinced I'm going to actually produce. I really like it, but there's a lot of other people that have some patents on parts of bridge hammocks that could cause issues, and I really don't need that headache. So until I figure out more about that, I probably won't go forward with it. But that was one of the most complicated bug nets I've ever made, and I tried what I thought was probably the hardest way to do a bug net, which is what I just did, and it turned out being easier than what I was doing and a lot less time consuming. And now that I've said that, I'll probably screw this bug net up. I hope not, but yeah, sometimes you never know until you try. I said this a couple times over on the Instagram live I did earlier, and if you're just joining, if you come in or you watch this later, this may not be the most exciting thing because it's just me working, but I did find it pretty cool that the customer who ordered this hammock came into the Instagram live stream and got to see me working on his order. That's pretty cool. All right. Now I'll find the end of my zipper. Bugging it off. Do I do this full time now as a business? Yes, actually. I was. I go in spurts with it. I do it as full time as a business when I can, and right now I'm doing it as full time business because I kind of got forced to. I was doing a part time job, just because of the current, the way the economy is, the way the world's going. I wanted to make sure I had a fallback, so just in case. And then that company wound up mismanaging their way right out of business. and not with the local management, but the corporate management. So they closed up, and my last day there was a week and a half ago. So I'm gonna give it a shot. I've been not advertising as much for a hemlock because I got slammed over the summer, and I had a lot of orders, and I fell a little bit behind, and I hate just dumping more onto myself knowing that I'm backed up. So I kind of backed off. But now that I'm just doing this full time, I'm beyond caught back up. So now's a good time to buy. I guess is what I'm saying, for a bunch of reasons. It helps me out, it helps support the business, and my turnaround times, I'm leaving them listed at 4 to 6 weeks, so just in case, because there are right now some weird material shortages of things that I wouldn't normally think would be short. Zipper pulls I had an issue with, where the only place I could really get them from was charging like 3 times everybody else is charging. I did get a shipment of them at a reasonable price. I do have a local YKK dealer that I can get them from, but it's got to be special order. I've got to get them directly from YKK, and I got to find out what their minimum order is on that. So I'd like to do that and just have a case of them sitting around so I don't have to worry about it. And then the other thing is the cinch buckles. So I'm using an old stock of cinch buckles. They're still good. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just the older style that I had just in case. And there's a shortage on those as well. Now I know I can get them from this manufacturer, but they don't always have them in stock. I am working on setting up a deal with another manufacturer of them, and I'm getting a sample shipment of them. So my goal is to deal directly with them, and then just again have cases of them here, because those little things, when you run out of them, I got enough right now, but I'm dangerously low. The fun of running a business. Corporate snakes. Yeah, man, I'll tell you what. It was an easy job as warehouse work. The work was really easy. The local people were awesome. Like the local management, the original manager that was there, she retired about a year ago. And then the new guy who took over, he was decent. And the rest of the management locally was great. And they could get no support from the higher ups in corporate, and it just seemed like they thought the best idea was, instead of selling all their stuff little by little, just sell all at once. And that's what they did, and shut down our location. And I'm assuming they're shut down now too, because they didn't have a lot left. But it sucks. There's a lot of that going on. But what can you do? That's one of the reasons why I started Hemlock Mountain Outdoors, because I never felt safe leaving my my situation in other people's hands. But it gets nerve-wracking, because when you're now, everything is completely in my hands, so I can't screw it up. Can't screw it up. should do? I should share this on some social media platforms. Thank you. It's a growing process. I'm always changing and trying to improve and make things better. And that's how you grow. Let me close that. There we go. Share. Working live from the shop, not ship. Shop. Live. I hate swipe keyboards. Stop by and say hi. There we go. Share that on the old socials and see if everybody stops by. I forget that YouTube isn't always the best at announcing live streams, I found. Awesome, Robert. Thank you very much. It's word of mouth like that really helps. And I really do appreciate it. You should let people know if they take your word for it, then mention you. Because I do appreciate that. Who's that? Let's see, my friend, my backpack, just turned 70. Ground dweller, but I keep trying to get him get in a hammock. That's awesome. There's nothing wrong with sleeping on the ground. I like doing it every once in a while. Cushion the bush. I want one so bad. Fantastic design. Would imagine awesome quality. Well, thank you very much. They are. Now is a good time. I was just talking that I'm back to full time with this. My part-time job I had, the company closed, so now is the best time. Now is the best time. And I use Shopify for my website. There is a way that you can split up the payments too, if that's an issue. But the RedTails, this one right here, this is 11 foot. This is only $80. This comes with the hammock, the bug net with the multi-mode, and the straps as well. So you get everything you need to get up off the ground and start hammocking. It doesn't include a tarp or quilts, but if you don't mind, using a sleeping bag or whatever you can find for your insulation to get started, $70, well, $80 for 11 foot, $70 for 10 foot. And 70, that's awesome, Robert. I mean, I'm 50, and I still love backpacking. I don't see myself stopping until I absolutely can't do it anymore. And I think I won't be able to do it anymore if I stop doing it. I think stopping is the worst thing you can do. So at 70 and still going, keep on trucking, man. Maybe early Christmas present. I do ship to Canada. I can't guarantee what the shipping rates are. International shipping is pretty steep, it always seems like. But do ship to Canada. And what I've gotten in the habit of doing, because somebody gave me this idea, and let me know if you've heard of this working. So they ordered something, I sent it over, they got it, and then they ordered I forget what it was. It was like pouches or something like that. And it took forever to get through customs for them the first time. The second time, he suggested I put a Made in USA sticker on the box. That's what I did, and he said it went right through customs really fast. I don't know if that was just coincidence or if that really did something. So I just made up a bunch of Made in USA stickers. Anytime I ship internationally, I just put that right on the box. It seems like it gets through customs faster. It might just be nothing, but I don't know. Amazing. Yeah. Honestly, I've met people out on the trail who, I came across this guy last year. I was doing a scouting the Thunder Swamp Trail. There was a section that I wanted to do. I wanted to take my hammock, but I know that trail isn't great for hammocks because of all the emerald ash borers out there. So there's a lot of dead trees. And I thought, well, let me check this section I haven't done and see if there's anywhere to camp. As I was hiking in, I see this guy come up over the ridge in front of me, and he had to be in his 70s. He had like the full bore medical canes, like the crutch canes, and I'm not sure what the maybe MS. I'm not sure, but he was like his you could definitely tell he was contorted, and that guy was moving along, and I talked to him for a minute. He was out for the day. Like nothing fazed him, and as I walked away, I was just thinking in my head, like, I never have an excuse. Like never, like not being able to do something a lot of times is in your head. Like that guy could very easily just sit at home and be like, "This is my life because this is what I got." But he's out there doing it, and man, that was inspirational. I love seeing that. This is probably the trickiest part of building a hammock, at least for me, is getting the net fitted properly. And it seems like I either get it spot on, and even though all the hammocks are the same size, there's slight differences since they're hand built. The measurements are usually the same, but every once in a while I get one that just doesn't line up right, and I don't know what the issue is. This one's going pretty good. And sometimes it's got, like, I've got a net sitting over here that's already on the zipper. It just didn't want to fit right. So I might just measure that net and then build a hammock around it so I don't have to throw out the net. Side pullouts for the sill poly tarps, I can add them. I tend to build things the way I use them, and I've never used side pullouts. I know people like them, people love them. Even though I'm on Dyneema, I don't usually put them on. I can put them on. but in my mind, this is how it works. I'm sewing holes into the main part of the tarp that you really don't want to leak. And it freaks me out, because all I can picture is I'm going to do that, and I can do the best job I want, but at some point that's going to leak, and I'm going to take that personally. I know that probably sounds weird, but with Dyneema, I have had a couple people ask for it, and I did it on, I think I did it on 2. And Dyneema's a little easier because you can use the tape to really seal it up, and you know that once that tape adheres to Dyneema, you know you're good. Now, I know there is now that sil bonding tape, but I don't know if I can get my hands on it. I work with Dutch now. I know he has it, but I don't know. I don't know if I can get my hands on that tape. I can try, and that would make me feel better if I could use a tape that bonds to the sil poly and doesn't leak. I mean, in all honesty, it's probably fine. Like I do the ridge line the way I do it, where it's got usually a few of them I've sewn completely flat. I usually leave the ridge line so there's a little bit of like a tail on it. It kind of folds over, and I do that. Initially, I did it on the first one I made. I did it because I didn't know if I could get my tarp to fit in the throat of my sewing machine to do that final stitch, and it was the first thing I had sewn with sil poly. So I was like, this is good enough. I'll leave it like that. And I took it out into a really bad storm without any seam seal in the winter, and it was like a sil poly camouflage tarp. It was cut horrible. There's no reason why it shouldn't have just disintegrated the first time I took it out, because it was the first tarp I made. But I learned that little flap on top actually protects the stitch underneath it, and it kept it from leaking even without sil poly. So since then, I kind of, unless somebody specifically asks to have it sewn flat, I won't do it. Again, another weird thing in my mind. It works, and it was almost intentional. But then when I think about it, it's just another line of stitches going through a tarp, and the top of the tarp is the last place you want stitching. Yeah, those removable pullouts are pretty cool. I had something like those. I got them in a monthly subscription box years ago, and they were just like, there's like little clips. They were like fiberglass. They had little teeth on them, but they didn't really puncture the fabric. So you just kind of slid them together, and they crunched down and held on to it. So when I was first testing out where I wanted pullouts on the tarps, that's what I used, and they worked pretty good. They worked really good. I usually just use my trekking poles and put them in the center pullouts to keep the side out, and that usually works good enough for me. When I was down at Maha, I saw a lot of people with the pole mods on their tarps, and it just seems like a lot of work. I've also always found that the door, pulling in the ends, I was in Wisconsin back in early 21, and I did part of the Ice Age Trail, and it was in like April, and the weather I got hit with was so bad, it completely changed my plans. And if I didn't, I took my Dyneema tarp, and I'm so glad I did, and I was able to pull the doors in and create like this little cocoon around the hammock. But if I didn't have a big tarp for that, I would have got soaked. It would have ruined the whole trip. Sewing in school. I vaguely remember taking like home ec in like middle school and learning how to sew. But when I decided to do this back in the end of 2016, I'd forgotten all of that. I bought a sewing, actually this sewing machine I bought, and I bought a bunch of fabric, and I watched a couple YouTube videos, and I just taught myself how to do all this fairly quickly. Like it kind of came back to me, but like there's a lot of things I had no idea. I just looked at old gear that I had and kind of reverse engineered the first couple of hammocks I had and looked at how they did things and tried to figure out how they built it by taking apart in my mind and trying to rebuild it. It was interesting. Very interesting. I should have paid more attention in home ec. All right, Robert, thanks for stopping by. One of these days, when we're in the same area, we got to meet up. That'd be cool. We'll do like a little Hemlock Mountain outdoors camp out. So, Kush, where in Canada are you? I spent a little time in Canada when I was a kid. My family used to go up. It's like twice a year. We go up once in the summer and once in February to Winterlude in Ottawa. That was a lot of fun when I was a kid. I don't know if they still have that festival, Bal de Neige. Central Alberta. Wow. So you got some remoteness around you then. Never really been. I've been to, I mean, I'm in Pennsylvania in the northeast of the United States. So I've been to everything from like Quebec to Niagara Falls in that area. Now my parents did do, before I was born, they did do a trip across Canada, and they were in the Canadian Rockies, and they used to show me those pictures, and I was always jealous that I never got to go. Snowing? Are you serious? It is. I wish we don't get snow like we used to. It's like in the 50s here right now, 50s Fahrenheit, so I don't know what that is in Celsius. I'm horrible. I can't for the life of me figure out why this country hasn't just gone metric. It'd be so much easier with the rest of the world. One of the things I've been trying to do for the past couple of years is build a Quincy, and we have not had the snow to do it, not at all. Every time we get snow, it's melted within a couple of days, and I'd always miss it. We might get a couple inches here and there, but I remember when I was a kid, we used to get feet of snow at a time. I miss those days. It doesn't look like we're going to get it this year. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong and we don't get hit with the warmer than projected weather that they're calling for. I know I'm alone in that, and a lot of people in my area would rather it be nice and warm all winter, but it's not good for our environment in this part of the country to be warm like that in the winter. People don't understand that. If you're outdoors enough, you understand. Yeah, so I'm with you with the winter camping. So many people I know, when Labor Day hits here in the U.S., like the beginning of September, everybody kind of looks at me and go, oh, what are you going to do now? Camping season's over. I'm like, you kidding? It's just starting. It's the best time of year. In the fall, winter, I'll intentionally go out. Like in March, I knew it was going to be like one of our last snowstorms. It was just a squall that blew through. And I drove out, beat the storm out to the woods, and I mean I got hammered out there, but it was it was fun. No bugs in the winter. No. Do you have to deal with ticks up there in Alberta? We get them, not as bad as it used to be, but we do get them around here, and they're a pain. No pun intended. They suck. Yeah, it seems like ticks are everywhere now. I've found that permethrin works really, really well. Really, really well. I permethrin like in the summer, I rarely hike in shorts, especially if I'm backpacking. So I got like zip-off pants. But I'll permethrin those. I'll permethrin like my socks. I'll permethrin my hiking shirt. I don't permethrin my gear at all, but it really does a great job. And then on top of that, I'll use picaridin, which is like an organic, like I forget what it's based off of, some kind of flower, and it stays on your skin for like 20 hours. It does a really good job. All right, Kush, thank you for stopping by. Go put the kids to bed and enjoy your snow. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of your snow. Kevin, you're here too. Awesome, man. I am just finishing up your bug net here. Your first legit backpack hammock. Awesome. Well, I got notifications. Very honored that you chose my little company here to be your first legit backpacking hammock. All right, that's the last stitch on the bug net. How's it look? You like it? Where's your next trip planned? Or your first trip planned? Have you backpacked? Have you been out yet? If this is your first legit backpacking hammock, I would assume you've been out at least once. I could be wrong. Awesome. Thank you. Now let's move the camera. All right. So now, a couple things left to do. All I really have to do now is put on the zipper pulls for the multi-mode net, and then I will mark out where I'm going to put the tie-outs, get those sewn on, and then just sew off the inside of the bug net so that the zipper doesn't separate, and that'll be it. Oh, nice. Uhari, where's that? I don't know that I've heard of Uhari. Did I say that right? Uhari? Why did I grab so many of those? I don't know. I'm gonna guess it's out west somewhere. We don't have a lot of national forests here in the east that I know of. We got Monongahela, we got the Allegheny, the Green Mountain, the Finger Lakes. Nice. Well, I might get this to you in time then, because this will go out tomorrow. I'll get it in the mail for you as early as possible. Charlotte, Nashville. Oh, really? It's on the... I've never heard of it. That's on the East Coast? Oh my God. I'm slacking. All right, there's one. Now the fun part, putting on the other three. Zippers aren't really designed to do what I do with them. They really aren't meant to do this. But do it anyway. And there's one. Comes the tricky part. So where'd you say you're going? To Rock State Park. Okay. The only state park I've really been to down there is Stone Mountain. That was pretty cool in North Carolina. Really cool park. Great hike up onto it. Well, that went on easier than that was just magic for the camera. That doesn't usually go on that easy. Yeah, really cool state park. Went down there, hang out with a friend of ours, Burnwood Bushcraft, and that was really cool. Gorgeous area down there. So nice. Got to hike on a little bit of the Mountain to Sea Trail. Mountains to Sea Trail? Yeah, Mountains to Sea Trail goes through there. I think that's like, I don't know if that's completed yet. That's like 1,400 mile backpacking. That's a pretty good sized backpacking trail for being in one state. 1,400 miles. go. There's all those zipper pulls. That's pretty cool. So I was thinking before that I've never ordered anything from anybody and was able to watch them build it for me. So this is pretty cool. And you may be the first customer that's been on a live stream that's watched me as I'm building their hammock. This is pretty awesome. I mean, this is kind of why I do this stuff. I like it. All right, so the net is on. Let's get my chat back up. Attach all the pullouts. Sure those line up right. Oh yeah, very nice. Don't be nervous, no pressure. No, it's pretty cool. I really do. I do enjoy. I'm enjoying this. I'll say that. Like I said earlier, when somebody was asking me, and I don't think I've ever. I know I've never had this happen, and I'm sure someone else has done something like this before, where they're doing builds and, you know, someone's come in and seen their order made. I've never seen it happen. So this is pretty neat. All right, so zipper pulls are on. I need 4 clips. I will position the pullouts. And the hammock's just about done, and all I got to do is make the tree straps, and those only take a few minutes. The tree huggers. All right. Those look good. Those look good. Pullouts. Keep the sharp, pointy things away from the hammock. And move back over here. Swap out the zipper foot. That piece long enough to keep. There is a section of the AT that I'm going to be doing around Thanksgiving. That's the only thing I really have planned. The only other thing I had planned was the Allegheny Front Trail, which I did a couple weeks ago while I was waiting on zipper pulls to show up because I couldn't really do anything else. So I went and did that. Nothing else big planned other than there's a group of us who are trying to finish out the Appalachian Trail section in Pennsylvania, and we're pretty close, so we might be able to get that done this year. What's the longest backpacking trip you've done? That's always an interesting question to ask people. Like, how many days, how many miles? That is that. Couple nights, still kind of new. Oh, nice. Well, I'll be honest, I kind of miss the newness of backpacking sometimes. I mean, it's great, having all the trips under my belt, but there's something about, especially places like nearby. I've got the Pinchot State Forest near me, and I go there a lot because it's nearby, and I can get out for a quick trip without really wasting a lot of time. But like the first time you go to places, always it's kind of, it might sound sappy, but a little magical when you get out there. Nothing wrong with short trips either. I do a lot of like one night overnights, but I've also done. When I did the Queehana Trail, that was 75 miles. That was 5 days. 5 days when I was in Wisconsin. A lot less miles when I was in Wisconsin. Oh, your first was in the Smokies. Wow, that is a place that's on my list. I have yet to be to the Smokies. Everything I've seen, all the videos I've seen of the Smokies, it just looks incredible. That's an awesome place for your first trip. I mean, you're doing it right if you start in the Smokies. What I consider my first backpacking trip, my first like a really official like backpacking trip, was on like a little exploratory hike. It was like 16 miles we did on the Queehana Trail, and man, were we not prepared for that. All my gear was heavy, took too much, didn't sleep enough, didn't eat enough. It was a rough trip. Yeah. When you have a good first trip and you're somewhere like that, it gets you hooked. Did you go with anybody or did you go solo? Because I know for some people going solo is a little tricky. It played in my head a little bit. I'd done a lot of solo road trips. I'd done a lot of solo car camping. I'd done a lot of solo hiking. I'd done solo kayak camping. I'd been solo a lot. But that first time I went to go solo backpacking, it was always in the back of my mind. Like, what if a bear comes into camp, or what if something happens, with the weather. So I had a bunch of trips planned that I wound up bailing out on because of weather, and which is probably smart because you don't want to get caught in bad storms. And then the one year my plans fell through for Christmas with family and with friends. Everybody had something else going on. And I knew there was a storm coming in, and I was like, I'm just going to go backpacking. I just scouted this little spot out. I went backpacking, and I didn't realize it until I was actually, like, approaching camp that, I'm doing this solo for the first time. And it's, like, Christmas Eve, so there's going to really be nobody out here. And I just fell in love with it. After that, I did, like, 5 out of my next 6 trips, like just even small trips, were all solo. I just loved it. Different mindset, definitely. Nice. Trips are different for me. There's some things like the Appalachian Trail. I really have no interest in doing solo, like even as like I've done a couple little sections that I just happened to do solo and used a part of the Appalachian Trail because it was handy. But that's something, because you're never really remote on the AT, especially up here. You can always hear road noise. You can always look off the ridge you're hiking on, and there's a town there. You're never far away from, at least you don't feel like it. So for me, you get to camps, there's always people there. It's never really solo. I like doing the remote trails, like Huhana trails. When I was on the Ice Age Trail, I saw one person the entire time I was out there, and he was just day hiking in a park I went through. When I did the Allegheny Front Trail, I didn't see. I saw one guy walking his dog on the second day, and I did that in 3 days. And then I didn't see anybody really on the trail hiking until like a 1.5 miles from the car at the end of the trip. And that's just because that's where all the vistas were. And I love it that way. I feel so at home in the woods by myself. It's a little bit weird, I think, but that's okay. I'm a little bit weird. When I hike with groups, though, we have a lot of fun. I like both aspects of it. That's it. That's the last stitch in your hammock right there. Just tighten that up just a little bit. There we go. That looks a lot better. All right. Want to have a look at it? Hold on a second. I'll get set up. The camera might, well, is it charging? Actually, it's charging now. When I was doing the live stream on Instagram, it was killing my battery. I was actually losing charge and it's plugged in. Shake all the threads off it. Zip it up. All right, ready to see it? Let me unplug that. There it is. There's your finished hammock. Boy, that does not give me a very wide angle. What I'm doing with this. There it is. Well, you can kind of see it. Man, this is hard to do. That camera does not give me an angle. There you go. That's a little better. You got your mesh end caps. You got your suspension right here, the tree straps. And then all I got left to do is make the tree huggers. Let's do this for a second. Pack that down into its stuff sack. There you go. I can't see the comments on that phone. Can't see the comments there. Awesome, man. I'm glad you like it. All I gotta do now is make your tree huggers. Give me a second, because I gotta remember what size they were. Pull up your order real quick. Um, 5 foot. Okay. Oh, you're getting 5 foot camo. Awesome. Do I have 5 foot cut yet? I don't have 5 foot cut yet. All right. Now the question is, where did I put my camo webbing? Gotta be over here. It's the problem with the small shop. I got stuff stored all over the place. There it is. And then on the stuff sack for your tree straps, I'll do the same thing for the webbing, the tree huggers for those two. They can just hang right on there. A little mitt hook on there. Alright, so tree straps. 5 foot huggers. I need hot knife on. Oh yeah, so the difference between the whoopies. Do I have whoopies set up in here? I've got, no, I do not. I've got some old UCR set up, not the same. A preference between the two. Man, I really like both. The thing I like about the whoopies is they are really light and are really compact compared to the cinch buckle suspension. But for me, I mean, you do lose a little bit of adjustability with the whoopies. You do have like an infinite adjustability with them because of just the nature of them. But you've got a little bit, depending on how much wraparound you have around a tree, and there's a little bit in the build of whoopies, or if they're Enos, and they're like what they call there's the sling straps. No, not sling straps. What do they call those things? The Helios straps? Yeah, that's the Helios straps. You lose, there's like a little bit of that whoopie sling you can never get out of it in the length. So it kind of limits your minimum distance sometimes, depending on how it's set up. The cinch buckles, you don't really have that because the strap, you can take the cinch buckle all the way up to the tree, and then you only have, that much out of the back of the hammock that you lose. So you get a little more adjustability out of your cinch buckles, but you get a lighter setup with the whoopies. So I guess I prefer to have more adjustability because I can cram in between smaller trees, but I do really like the whoopies. They're really nice. I got hammocks with different setups. What I was doing for a while is I had, and I use, so they're on these straps here. I've got a set of these. These are Cinch Bugs by Dutch. And I will take these sometimes because I can hook right onto the whoopies, and I can actually use a short cinch strap. So this is only about 5 feet long, this one. I used to carry this actual set with me, and you can tell these are all frayed because these are my shop straps now. But I would use something like this on the strap so I could get more adjustability up to the tree. But I also had it was kind of a mix between the lightweight whoopie and the adjustability of a cinch buckle. You kind of lose the weight advantage, but I really like the whoopies too. So let me move back over here. I'll get these sewn up for you. I don't know if that answered your question. That was kind of a roundabout answer. I guess the answer is, as far as preference, it depends on the trip. I always love that answer, and people give it to me. It depends. Make sure it doesn't pop out. All right. I don't have a piece of, look at me, I didn't cut a stuff sack for you. cut. All right, now turn it back around. Lots to learn. Yes, there is lots to learn, and there's really no wrong answer on a lot of this stuff. I don't think anything infuriates me more, because I do YouTube videos too, and nothing infuriates me more than watching YouTube videos where the person is telling you how dumb you are for what you're doing while you're backpacking. Like, that's wrong. This is the wrong gear to have. That's the wrong gear to have. Do it this way. Do it that way. Do it with the way it works for you. Do it with the gear you want to do it with. It all is personal preference. What really matters is that you're out, you're doing it, you're being safe, you're being respectful, and you're having fun. Those are really the big things. Everything else is personal preference. I mean, I don't always, obviously I love hammocks, I make them. I don't always use a hammock, sometimes I use a tent. Nothing wrong with that. It's not sacrilegious, it's not hurting anybody. Sometimes I just like to change, and I like my old Eureka tent, which I hear that company's in trouble now, which sucks, because that's a great tent. Or I've got like this little cheap backpacker tent I bought off of Amazon for like $50 that just uses a trekking pole. Nothing great, but it gets me out. I use that on the Allegheny Front Trail just for something different. There's no wrong way to do it. And there's no, I see people all the time that get embarrassed by the gear they're using, or the backpack they have, or anything like that. No reason to feel like you're doing it wrong with any gear. There is a lot to learn, and the best way to learn is by trying different things. Trying it different ways. I learn new things all the time by watching people do something that I would never think to do. Even with hammocks, like I would love to see everyone buy a Hemlock Mountain Outdoors hammock. I would love it. It would keep me busy. I'd be so happy. But by the same token, there's a lot of other great small companies out there that make a lot of great gear, and I really just want to see small business support it. You know, I've seen too many bad things happen with big companies, and they don't care about their customers, don't care about their employees. I'd always rather just see people support small business, even if it's not mine. Oh, no kidding. I've got an Apex 2 XT. It's probably, God, it's got to be going on 10 or 11 years old now. God, I don't even know. I got that when I lived in Florida. That thing is ancient. It's mostly net on the inside. I love that hammock. That tent. It's designed to like suck down to the ground and wind. That thing has been on some amazing trips with me. I used that over in a pinch show like a month ago. I broke it out of storage and used that. Love that little tent. I just recently seam sealed it again. It's still holding up. It's great. I love that thing. I used the Apex 2, the 2XT in, was it 2020, right before I went to Arizona. We're supposed to get this really big snowstorm, and took it over to my friend Dragon and Pandas over to their house, and we set up in the backyard, and I slept in it. We got like 2 feet of snow, and it's not really meant for snow, that tent. So I woke up in the morning. I woke up like 5 o'clock in the morning, and the whole tent was touching my face. It was just collapsing in on itself, and I thought, oh, I broke one of the fiberglass poles. I had to with all the weight. No, there's just a lot of weight on it. Poles are fine. Put a beating on that tent. I used to have an old, well, actually that wasn't even mine. My sister lent me a, I think it was a Coleman, or what was the other one? Coleman, or what are they? Outdoor Adventures or something like that. One of those companies. And this tent was humongous. It was actually, you could open up the front of the tent and you could pull a car inside there, like a small car. You could use it as like a little carport if you had to. That thing was massive. Well, yeah, they got a good tent then. We gave it away. They're not the lightest thing. Like mine weighs about 6 pounds. I don't mind. I took it on one trip to the Pin Show. It was mostly a car camping tent for me, or a kayak camping tent. But it works. It worked for backpacking. It wasn't super light, but it did the job. Box of labels. All my emblems are in there. All right. Magnetic guide. And yes, so when I'm making gear, everything gets made for the order. The bags, the stuff sacks, everything. I don't have these pre-made somewhere. I don't get them made anywhere. That's why sometimes when somebody orders a big order, it takes time. I had like 4 or 5 towards the end of the summer that were just huge orders. A couple hammocks. One was like 2 hammocks, 2 quilts, 2 tarps, or 4 quilts, 2 tarps, a couple pillows, like everything. And all this stuff takes time. Yeah, I really, like I said this before, this is really cool to have the, like I could be like, hey, are these long enough for you? I've thought while I'm doing this that I might want to add something, if I can, to the checkout where people can put their Instagram handles or their YouTube handles in the account, and then if I do a live like this, I can mention them and they can get noticed, you know, that their order is being built. They can come in and check it out. That'd be pretty cool. Just an underquilt and a tarp. Yeah, I mean, those are things you can kind of work around in the beginning. If you've got a decent sleeping bag and a sleeping pad, as long as you're not going too cold. If it gets down like below, I don't know, 30s usually, 40 in the 40s, high 30s, it starts getting a little difficult to camp without a quilt. If you don't have a decent sleeping bag and a pad. What am I doing here? There we go. All right, all set. The ProFly should fit. Is it the standard ProFly or the ProFly XL? It should be fine. You won't have doors, so if it gets too blustery and it's raining or snowing, it might be a little bit snug for you, but I think that'll be all right. I had the ProFly XL, and that thing was a monster. That covered everything. The standard. I think you should be fine. So the ridge line on your hammock is 110 inches. Right? Yeah, 110 inches for the 11 foot. So as long as it's at least that, you should be okay. Man, I've got one tarp that barely covers the cinch buckles that I use every once in a while. And I always take it when I don't think it's going to rain, but it might rain a little bit. And every time I take it, it winds up pouring. And I've yet to get wet in it. So you just need just enough coverage. As long as it's not too windy, you should be fine. think that looks pretty cool. The orange thread on the camouflage webbing. How's that turning out on the camera? I think that looks pretty cool. That auto adjust on this camera is crazy. There you go, that's a little bit better. Yeah, normally I would have done it in probably gray or brown, maybe black. But since you're here, getting your input on that, that looks pretty nice. That's going on 10:30. Look at that. All right, one more loop to make and your order is done. I got enough bobbin thread for this last little bit. Oh, it's gonna be tight. Awesome. Kevin, thanks for hanging out. This is the last stitch I got to do, and then I'll get this packed up and shipped out in the morning. Thanks for stopping by, and really hope you enjoy your hammock. And maybe if I'm down your way, we can get together, get a little backpacking trip in. That'd be cool. last stitch. Last stitch of this order. Snip those. Five-foot tree huggers in their stuff sack. That order is done. Thank you to everybody who hung out on the YouTube live and over on Instagram when I was working on it earlier. I will get this packed up and sent out to Kevin first thing in the morning, and hopefully he gets it before his next trip. That's going to do it for me. Thanks for hanging out with me while I work. I'll see you next time.